In this video, we're not going to look at process modeling yet, but we're going to look at BPMN and provide a little bit of background around what BPMN is and what it can be used for. If we look in an organization, then there are different levels where one might need process models. So for instance, on the highest level that you can encounter in an organization where strategic decisions are made, we would have models that describe kind of the design of the organization itself. So the kind of the organizational design. So models of this purpose have to be very generic. At a strategic level, they cannot contain many details. They have to be high level. On the other side of the spectrum, we have so-called implementable models. These are models that contain lots and lots of details, and they are used to design applications or even whole systems. In between these different purposes for models and different audiences that use these models, there are several layers of abstraction that we can identify. So just a step down from strategic management are process owners. And process owners are the leaders of processes. So the manager that oversees one particular process. Again, another step towards more detail are business analysts. And business analysts are typically external people that are being called into an organization in order to study how a process is running. One level lower are the solution architects. And solution architects oversee in an organization how different IT solutions are implemented and how they relate to one another. That's what a solution architect does. So even though there is no one golden rule or golden standard about what level of detail is required for which audience, we can still identify this range between very abstract on a strategic level, very little detail, up until models that are almost suitable to throw at a computer and then a computer can run it in a business process management system. Now, where does BPMN come into play? BPMN aims to support all of these levels except for the very top one, the strategic consulting or strategic management part. So all of these roles within an organization can be supported by BPMN. So that means that BPMN has to support all of these different purposes that go from as low as implementation details to still providing a good overview, an abstract overview of the processes within an organization. So this is the scope and the aim of BPMN. So what is BPMN exactly, now that we know the purpose of the models that it aims to support? Well, BPMN stands for Business Process Model and Notation. And this has historical reasons because it's a rather weird name for a standard. BPMN in the current shape, version 2.0, has been around since 2014. It has been established by a consortium, a non-profit organization called the Object Management Group, short OMG, that consists of several organizations, for-profit companies and research centers such as universities. It's also an ISO standard, and if you go in practice, what do organizations use? It is very often BPMN. So it is not just an academic standard, it's also used a lot in practice, in industry. Actually, if you go to any organization that does something with process management and goes to the levels that BPMN supports, it's very likely that they will be using actual BPMN. Nevertheless, any understandards will use similar concepts that we're going to see in this course. BPMN is meant for the really technical details, as I already showed you, but also for the kind of high-level overviews. So you can put a lot of detail in BPMN up to the level of specifying which data fields are required in order to gather data from your process participants and what data they produce. Up to a very high overview of like first you have registration and then you send a quote and then you wait for an order. So BPMN supports that whole range of levels. If you want to know more about BPMN, then the first place to look is in the documentation. So we have a standard, the BPMN 2.0 standard is a public standard. You can go online, just Google it, and you will find the actual standard where everything is defined. Notice that this is a 500-page document, however, so several resources exist that help you and explain the elements in a bit more detail. In this series of videos, we will not go into every part of this standard. We will limit ourselves to a subset. A good resource, if you want to know more, is the Camunda documentation. Again, just Google it. The name of the BPMN element you want to know more about with Camunda, and then you will end up on their web pages with excellent free documentation. There is also tool support available for BPMN because it's not just a standard. Camunda and Signavio and Bisagi are just a few examples of commercial parties that offer their modeling tools for free. Why do they do that? What they aim for is to sell their business process management system. So if you model your process in any of these tools, then they are happy to sell you a whole system that takes that business process model and then plays it out for your process participants. So it kind of becomes a process orchestrator. Of these, Signavio provides an academic license, and Camunda actually provides an open source tool that you can install on your local machine and draw BPMN models. And of course, we as the process management community are very glad that these organizations offer this type of software for free. This was a very short introduction about the background of BPMN. I've shown you what it aims to do, what it stands for, told you a little bit about the history, and I've shown you some more resources where you can get more information if you would need that.